I want you to just think about the people in your life that you know work hard. Are all of them wealthy? Pretty sure not. Working hard is not necessarily a direct correlation with the amount of money that you make or aren't making. And working hard does not necessarily mean you will make more money. And it's often not the pathway to make more money, because money is not a reflection of how hard of a worker you are. Hello, hello, hello. It is Money Mindset May. Today's topic, we're diving into when the money stops flowing. We're really going to be talking about mastering money. And I gotta say, this was a really important topic. We've been in the middle of a launch, and I've been getting so many questions about this time period and what's going on in the world, and people having certain experiences around the ebb and flow of money. And the truth is that we have power, but sometimes we don't know where to find that power in kickstarting that flow or moving past a plateau. So today we're going to dive into what to do when the money stops flowing, or it's not flowing in the way that you thought that it should. And hopefully by the end of today's session, you will have some takeaways that you can actually start to implement literally right away. So for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm Makosi, also known as the Royal Shaman. I am an executive spiritual advisor, and I've helped incredible conscious change makers to fulfill their calling. And I support them by expanding their consciousness, supporting them in aligning energetically, as well as transforming their identity to be the version of themselves that actually can hold all of the abundance that's aligned for them to experience. So let's dive in a bit to my own experience with this. Now, whether you knew this or not, my childhood was not financially prosperous. My mom was a single teen mom of two for most of my childhood. And needless to say, growing up in small town West Virginia, which is one of the poorest states in the United States, period. It's always either like 48th, 49th, or 50. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity. I wasn't surrounded by money, and I've gone from that experience to being the first millionaire in my family, and I'm not yet 35. So I know a lot about this from my own personal experience, but also through coaching hundreds of people, mainly women, through their internal limitations and blocks. One of the things that I find most challenging when you've grown up without money is that it isn't normalized for you. So sometimes you aren't in spaces where you can gain insight into, well, how do you think if you are a person who has money? And, what is my way of viewing the world that's actually keeping me from making more money? The truth is that our money, like the amount that we see in our accounts, is simply a reflection of who we have been up to a certain point. It is a reflection of really at the root, the identity and all of the beliefs that go along with who we think we are or who we believe that we are. So it is the culmination of all of these decisions that we are making consciously and unconsciously. It's a result of how we view the world that's creating that, as well as some of the words that we say, how we speak over our lives, how we relate to other people, and so on and so forth. It's not as simple as just, what do I need to do to make more money? At some point, you run out of energy. You don't have enough time in the day, or maybe you don't have enough energy to just do more in order to make more. So at some point, that stops working. One of the most common things that I've seen related to this topic is people who associate, I've got to work hard in order to make lots of money. And if that were true, I want you to just think about the people in your life that you know work hard. Are all of them wealthy? Pretty sure not. So working hard is not necessarily a direct correlation with the amount of money that you make or aren't making. And working hard does not necessarily mean you will make more money. And it's often not the pathway to make more money, because money is not a reflection of how hard of a worker you are. First thing that you want to look at when the money has stopped flowing in your life, do you have containers for it? Now, I know that there's a lot of people who get really annoyed with this concept of containers and like, I'm not putting my money in a piggy bank. That's not what we're meaning when we're talking about containers. When we're talking about containers, we're talking about energetic holders for money. And do you have those? So an energetic container for your money could be something like an actual bank account. That's a very basic container for your money. Another could be a business. It could be investments, so on and so forth. Those are places that can actually not only hold money, but some of them are actually designed to create more money. For example, if you invest in a business, that is a container that is designed that when you invest in the business or in yourself, that you actually have the ability to expand and make more money. So, number one, do you actually have a place for money to go? Money really loves when you have intentionality, when it actually has a purpose, when you actually create the space for the money to go into, and you have a reason for it, you have a mission for it, you have a way in which you are going to utilize it to either serve yourself, serve others, contribute to the greater good, so on and so forth. So, do you actually have containers for your money? Now, if you're an entrepreneur, you'll also want to look at, do you have containers that are of a variety, but also not too much variety? So, one thing that I notice, like, okay, I have a glass of water here. If you're listening to this, you can't see the glass of water, but I have a glass of water. Let's say that I have 3 smaller glasses, and those are my containers. Those are offers, right? Well, if I pour that water into these 3 separate glasses, if they're smaller glasses, I could still have, full glasses. However, I do see a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of having way too many containers going all at the same time, and it's like putting a few drops in each of them. And so when you have your money spread out like that, and you're putting energy, your energy is like diffuse all over the place, it can really dilute it, or feel like you don't have money, or it could feel like you're not making sales because you have just so many offers all at the same time, and you're pouring your energy into all these different places, and it feels like you're never actually moving forward. On the topic of being an entrepreneur and putting offers out in the world, one of the other things that I do see, as entrepreneurs, we're very innovative. We love to create new things, try new things. But I see often entrepreneurs just like skipping over when something works. And that can actually stop the money from flowing when you have either created something or stumbled across a problem or a challenge or something that you can actually support people with, and then people actually hand over money for it. That is a sign, as long as it is in alignment for you, that is a sign that you want to go all in on that thing, not just hop to the next thing. So one of my own philosophies on this is when I stumble across something that actually does work and is something that people want, I invest time, energy, focus on refining that container and expanding that container, right? Making it the best that it can be. And it's not always the most sexy, fun, bright and shiny thing, but truth pill. When I talk about euphoria, what I'm really talking about is kind of boring. You want your money to kind of be boring most of the time. The more boring and like stable that it is, the more exciting that your life can be, right? Instead of always needing to have excitement and fire and flair with new shiny things all the time, which is what we are like being so groomed to do. Those of you who are able to like allow something to get boring, allow the refinement process to happen, allow yourself to not always chase the shiny ball. Find other shiny balls, like hobbies. Start new hobbies. Have some side projects or something. I don't know. Now this is kind of like part 2 of that same point about containers. Are the lids open to those containers? Oh, there's nothing that gets on my nerves more than when people complain about, oh my gosh, there's no money coming in. But then when you ask them how many offers they've made in the last 30 days, well, 2. I talked to 2 people. Or I, shared that I was taking clients a few times. That means the doors are not open for the money to come in. Because, listen, how can money come in if no one even knows that the doors are open for it to come in? So there's a big component of, hey, are you actually allowing money to come in? That's like if you worked at a job. Let's say it's a regular 9-to-5 desk job and the money isn't coming in. And you go, I don't know why all of a sudden money isn't coming in. And it's like, well, did you go to work? Did you actually show up? Did you actually connect with people? That's a big one. It's a big one. And sometimes we can get so fascinated with like the next strategy, the next tactic, like the latest trends, always learning things and not actually taking the ball and running with it. I think, especially in the online space and on social media, there's this idea that, everybody's watching what you're doing all the time. And you've got to realize that almost no one is seeing your content regularly. And if they are, even if they are seeing regularly, it still takes them seeing something a lot, many, many times before it clicks with them. When I studied marketing in college, and this is like over a decade ago, I'm giving my age away. I guess I already gave my age away. Back then, when so much of the research about marketing was out, I idea of like, oh, it takes about 7 times for someone to see your thing before it lands. Keep in mind, if you're posting about the same offer, let's say every single day, less than 20% of your audience is even seeing that. And let's say of those people who are seeing it, they need to see it. I say it's probably closer to 12 to 14 times now in order for them to take action, because we're just so easily distracted, right? Can you relate to being easily distracted? Everyone is having that experience. It isn't always personal to you. If you are an entrepreneur, you've really got to detach your identity from your business and not be taking it personally. Like, oh my gosh, no one wants what I have to offer. Well, maybe the way that you're communicating it isn't the way that people will buy it, or it could just be that they're not seeing it enough or seeing it regularly, right? So paying attention to, if somebody raises their hand and actually forks over money, like, stop paying attention to your freaking engagement on social media, because half of the time those people aren't buying from you anyway. Do you know how many just thirsty guys are following me on freaking Instagram and probably liking, maybe if I have a red lipstick or cleavage on that video? I pay attention to, yes, I look at metrics about, what's popping and, what are people really resonating with, so on and so forth. But ultimately, what is actually leading to sales? What is actually leading to an exchange of money in order for me and my team and my business to receive what it needs, and also to actually catalyze the transformation that I'm here to create? Okay, I'm getting a little off topic, but I felt like that was really important for you to know. All right, back to the point. Money moves cyclically. Money moves cyclically. This is how I know that so many people, even people who teach the energetics of money, sometimes do not understand basic energy. Money moves in a cyclical fashion, just like nature moves in a cyclical manner. Now here, I'm meaning in the West. So not just the US, but if you're in Europe, if you're in Australia, there's so many of you that are. This applies to you too. But we have this idea that more is always better, that if we aren't making more or more isn't coming in, then we are failing. I gotta tell you, the only thing in nature that grows nonstop is what? Cancer. Yes, that's a sign of cancer. That is a cancerous, dangerous thing. So the goal is not for it to always be bigger, a bigger amount of money than it was necessarily the day before. You want to imagine, you want your money to grow like in a stair-step fashion where it grows. Maybe you launch a new product and you have some new clients, and then it just stabilizes and it stays the same. And then you have another growth, and then it just like stays the same for a period of time. You don't want your money to constantly be growing. The reason for that is that you want to have time and space to put in the systems and the processes and refine even the people. You want to put the right people in place to be able to hold that level of wealth. And not to mention, you also want to be able to evolve yourself in such a way where that amount of money becomes normalized for you. Otherwise, you will do what I see so many people do, which is have like a nervous breakdown or burnout because their nervous system hasn't had time to stabilize and normalize that next level of money that's coming in. They just like crash and burn, and it's like this continuous nightmarish roller coaster that I want none of you to experience. The other piece as well that is a massive mistake that I see people making in not understanding that money moves cyclically, what I see them do is the minute that money starts to move back, I want you to imagine it moves kind of like the tide. It moves like the tide. It comes in more and more, and then it will retract a little bit. But it's always still there. The water's always still there. It's just that there's a period of time where it comes in more, and there's a period of time where it might come in less. And what I see people do is get very reactive when that happens, and they retract because the money is retracting. Don't do that. I see people who like get into hoard mode, and that actually ends up perpetuating the money or keeps the money from flowing. I want you to think about it like this. If you were investing your money, you were putting your money in various areas that were creating a certain type of reality. Let's say that you were, putting some of that money towards paying off some of your debt. Maybe some of that money was being invested in your education or your own personal development. Maybe you were investing in Facebook ads for your business. I don't know, okay? But you're putting that money in something that is creating a certain future for you. And then you retract all of that the minute that things seem like on the surface are retracting. The actual decisions that you were taking that were going to create a certain future, like the Facebook ads that were attracting certain clientele, you stop that. Well, now those people aren't coming in. So it's this reactive nature that actually makes the issue worse and keeps the money from flowing. This has been an incredible session with you today. I am wishing you euphoria through the rest of the week. I'll see you next time.